Welcome to episode 54 of the Hodgepodge podcast. I'm your host, Doug.
And I'm Dirty A. As the name suggests, we're going to talk about a hodgepodge of topics from movies, music, TV, and other pop culture events.
And on this episode, we're talking about Interstellar from Christopher Nolan, Big Hero 6 from Disney, and an early review of Dumb and Dumber 2. You can reach us at the hodgepodgepodcast at gmail.com or over on our website, thehodgepodgepodcast.com. Or look us up on iTunes and YouTube and subscribe. Don't know why I keep saying the YouTube part because we haven't posted anything on YouTube in a while.
You're not missing any invisible YouTube posts. They just haven't been there.
Sorry, everybody. I have a job that I have to go to 40 hours a week.
Excuses.
Yeah, I know. And I'm trying to finish a novel.
Oh.
And do all this other crap. I'm very busy. I'm a very busy person. I'm very busy.
Productive. I just sit around and do nothing. All day long.
And start making some goddamn YouTube videos. This is the big one, everybody. This is our Interstellar episode. We saw Interstellar this past weekend.
And I was disappointed. Because I thought I was wrong. I thought it was called Interstellar, and it was like a documentary on Tom Selleck.
No,
it wasn't. No.
I have seen it twice already, and we will have both our thoughts on it. We're also going to talk about Big Hero 6, which actually won the box office this weekend, which is no real surprise in the end. People are going crazy like, take that, Nolan! It's like
kids' movies. I mean,
it's a kids' movie, and Interstellar is a full hour longer than it, which means fewer screenings.
You can't compete with a well-produced kids' movie.
Yeah.
Box office-wise.
And then I also said we're going to have an early review of Dumb and Dumber 2, but depending on when this hits the web, it might not be an early review anymore.
Right.
But we
As we recorded,
it's an early review.
It tended to be early.
But we saw Dumb and Dumber 2 last week on a free screening, and we'll talk about that. But first, there was, I guess not nearly as big news as the last episode we talked about Marvel's slate of movies. The biggest news right now for geek movies is the Star Wars. They finally released the title of Episode 7.
The Force Awakens.
Which, of course, follows Episode 6.5, which is The Force is Napping.
Right.
Yeah, this could mean anything. It's a pretty innocuous title. Personally, I mean, they're never going to have a title as cool as Empire Strikes Back.
No, that's the problem. It's if you look at it in terms of what it is, it's really no different than the title Return of the Jedi. It just it tells you what's going on. It serves its purpose. It's fine.
Right.
And it's a fun title. No big deal.
Other news that's going on. They just announced that we talked a couple episodes ago, I guess, about Suicide Squad with DC and Warner Brothers, and they revealed that Margot Robbie from The Wolf of Wall Street was going to be in it.
Yeah, that's Harley Quinn.
Now it's been revealed that she's going to play Harley Quinn.
Yeah. And
the talk is that they're trying to get Jared Leto to play the Joker, which could be interesting.
Is that just a talk? I didn't read the article, but I saw a couple. I didn't know if it was rumors.
I think it's
just rumors at this point.
I don't know if it's just rumors or it's. I think he might end up being the Joker.
Okay, it's not quite a done deal.
Right. It's getting there. I think. Yeah. I think Margot Robbie she'll be perfect as Harley Quinn. She looks exactly like the character would look.
I mean, you put makeup on anybody. They can look
no, I know, but actually, Margot Robbie actually has dark hair, but she I guess bleached her hair, I guess, for Wolf of Wall Street. But how she looks in the Wolf of Wall Street is exactly how Harley Quinn would look. As long as she gets the voice down, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters,
Mr. J. Other news: Collider had just the other day had an interview with Toby Kebbell from Planet of the Apes. He played Koba in Planet of the Apes. He's also going to be playing Doctor Doom in the upcoming Fantastic Four movie. And what he revealed to Collider is not good. It's not good about Doctor Doom.
Uh-oh.
They're like, his name isn't even Victor Von Doom anymore.
Oh, Doctor Dumb.
It's Victor.
It's not even a play on his name. What's the point?
No. Let me pull up this page. It's ridiculous. His name is Victor Domashev.
Is he even from whatever that that fictitious?
Latveria.
Latveria.
Probably not. And he says he's a programmer a very antisocial programmer, and on blogging sites, his name is, quote, Doom. This movie is going to suck. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I liked...
Is he blogging and then struck by lightning as he's blogging? Maybe,
I don't know. But I liked... Josh Trank is the director. I liked Chronicle, but...
Yeah, Chronicle's
I don't know. They're saying this one's like really like lo-fi, the way he did it, low tech.
They're really more and more burying in this movie a little bit. A little more every bit of information that comes out. People care less and less, and they're not pushing it as much. It's just this is, and that's the problem. Fantastic, this is supposed to be a big reboot for the franchise, and
right.
Fantastic Four has always been from a perspective of the movies that are made,
right.
just lower tier.
Well, that's the thing. It's like they shouldn't be because they're the first family of Marvel.
Correct. But that's the way it's called. That's the way it's happened, right? That's right. These are actually the first real, outside of Captain America, like the first real superhero, certainly family, but where they actually created a unit that you cared about outside of them being having superpowers, right? That they actually created Fantastic Four so that they had all the struggles of normal people along with these superpowers.
Yeah, they were the first characters that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created for Marvel in 1961. So they're literally the first family of Marvel, and
fantastic.
Well, I don't know. This movie sounds like it's going to fucking be awful. But not to be outdone, there's a rumor that just broke today that Sony is possibly looking to do an Aunt May movie that will have nothing to do with Spider-Man. Oh my god!
So that sounds like a terrible idea.
Apparently, like a few years ago, I forget what year it was, Marvel did a comic called Trouble, which was a comic geared towards girls, and it told about Aunt May when she was a teenager. And then there was it was supposed to like relaunch like the romance comic or something like that for like girls.
Ew. And who wants to think of Aunt May like that anyway? Oh.
And then apparently in the storyline, it turns out that she is Peter Parker's real mother. But Marvel, the storyline was not well received by fans, and so Marvel basically buried it. And it never. So they don't know if this is true, if that's what they're looking at, but that's what this movie would be. It says this story broke. I read about it on Collider, but it broke on Latino Review. It says this Aunt May movie would be an espionage story in the vein of Mad Men.
What? What? So they're going to turn Aunt May into a spy?
I don't know.
Spies like us.
It sounds completely awful, and if it's true, Sony has no fucking clue what they're doing.
That sounds like what someone comes in to the Sony exec meeting like on a bender from the night before, but they have to have some idea that they couldn't pick up, and just off the top of their head they're like, Aunt May spinoff movie.
Somebody on Collider posted in the comments, he's like, it sounds like that South Park episode where Cartman's Awesome-o, and he has to come up with all these stupid Spider-Man related ideas for Sony. Like, hey, we're going to do a Black Cat movie starring Adam Sandler. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that just sounds like a bad idea, but I don't know what to say about that.
There is nothing to say.
I mean, they already did a comic. That's the odd and telling thing to me that I don't understand. Granted, Sony Pictures is a little bit removed from that scene,
mm-hmm.
but if this comic series failed and was buried, why would you now go try to make it into a movie?
Well, first of all, they're grasping at straws because they're trying to do anything. Everybody wants to turn everything they have into the Avengers, which is just like the Universal monsters. They're trying to make this shared universe, which is stupid. And all Sony's got is Spider-Man, so they have to spin that as much as they can. They got to spin that web as much as they can. Yeah. So this is one way to go. Maybe they think that they could make it better, or so. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like that is a great business model, but you have to have the ingredients for that model to work. You can't just force it.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens with that, I guess.
Yeah, we will. Marvel's going to a judge right now going, can you null this contract? This is ridiculous. Right. And the judge will go, you're exactly right. Nobody wants to see an Aunt May movie.
But how about a movie about a judge who presides over Marvel v. Sony? That sounds like something people would like to see.
Starring Robert Duvall and Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man.
All right.
So after talking about what will probably be two shitty movies, let's talk about a pretty damn good movie.
Yeah.
Interstellar finally was released.
With not without its criticism.
Yeah, the reviews are good, but all the reviews, as we said in our last episode, all the reviews have been, it's good, but
it's like the reviews all hedged their bets a little bit.
Yeah,
on really wanting to like it.
Yeah,
for some reason.
And it's definitely there are definitely parts in the movie that are clunky. There's definitely some things that don't fit together perfectly.
You can pick apart any movie, especially a science fiction movie. Especially a science fiction movie that really leans towards trying to really base it on quote-unquote real science, right?
Yeah.
But it's still just a movie, and review it on those merits.
But I think the issues I had with it had nothing to do with the science at all. It was more the story.
Yeah,
story parts.
It had issues, but together. Still, what a great movie.
It takes place a few generations in the future. John Lithgow is in it, and he says when he was a kid, all these gadgets were being made, stuff like that. So you probably figure it takes place about 60 years in the future from now, probably.
It sounds about right. Yeah, they don't give any date.
Yeah, they don't give any date. Although I found it strange that it takes place that far in the future, and yet everyone dresses exactly the same.
Everything's the same.
Like, yeah.
Very true, and you may you can possibly take some of that into account, in that the people you really see are just farm folk.
That's true.
And the fact that it's taken place in this super depression era where maybe people are all wearing these hand-me-down type of clothes and stuff.
That's true. That's a good point.
But you're right. I mean, it's and I'm sure that's by design as well, to not kind of have you dwelling on that.
Because I got to be honest, the first time,
but it is odd that there's nothing that really makes you think that it's the future, other than other than the narrative. Because
when we first met TARS, I know they had set up a couple things earlier that robots were involved. When we first met TARS, I was really thrown for a loop. I was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. This is the future."
Right.
So it's
well, he was kind of actually he was introduced, quote unquote, in one of the trailers shows him.
Oh yeah, but when he's introduced in the movie, you have no idea what's going on. So basically, what happens is that. It's set a few generations in the future. Humanity's on the ropes because Earth is becoming quickly uninhabitable, and we're running out of food because there's a blight that's going through crops. And it destroyed wheat like 7 years in the past. Okra is on its last legs.
So unlike the blights we've actually seen present day, like in our history, like in Ireland, this one it's not targeting one specific crop. It moves through it and then keeps going.
Right.
And so
I think I said in my review, it's like it's crossing them off a list.
Yeah. More or less. So I think it's just starting to hit corn, I guess.
And the last crop really around is corn. And there's one scene in the movie that's much later in the movie where they're having dinner, and you can see everything is like corn related. They have corn in the bowl. There's like cornbread. That was a nice touch. That was a nice touch.
Little
corny. Yeah, nice. So the movie focuses on Cooper, who's played by Matthew McConaughey. He is a former test pilot / engineer who is now turned farmer. He's a widower, and he is raising his 10-year-old daughter and his 15-year-old son. The daughter's name is Murphy. When she's 10, she's played by Mackenzie Foy, who does a great job in this movie, the little girl. Tom is played by, I forget the kid's name. It's Timothy Clement or something like that. I don't know. He's kind of in the background. Murph is clearly the favorite child.
Yeah, there definitely is a favorite child here.
Yeah, which was kind of fucked up.
And probably the idea here is that he's now a single parent.
Right. Yeah.
He's got the granddad, but
the maternal grandfather is played by Lithgow.
He is a single parent, and he probably feels that the younger daughter requires more attention than the 15-year-old son.
But plus, she has more in common with him too.
True,
and she's smart like him.
So he's definitely going to gravitate towards her more.
The other thing that I found interesting is that it's the maternal grandfather, which is the same exact dynamic that existed in Inception. It's the exact same dynamic, which is interesting. Except in Inception, there was a maternal grandmother as well. It wasn't just Michael Caine, but there was also a grandmother. Anyway, so there is, and and let's just get off right off the bat. Spoilers. We're going to get into spoilers in this review.
Yeah, we either talk about this movie for 5 minutes without spoilers, or
you have to delve
we
into
need
spoilers.
to delve into it. And to be honest, it's going to be fun to delve into.
Yeah. So spoilers, major spoilers. Yeah. Tread lightly. To be honest, though, it just opened this weekend, but you should probably have already seen it already because it's awesome.
In which case, this review becomes obsolete.
Not really. People want to know what we think. People want to know what we think. People want to know what you think. So there is something going on in Cooper's house. Murph thinks that there's a ghost in her room and that this ghost is trying to communicate with her. And what they find is they discover that the ghost is communicating somehow through like Morse code. And then what Cooper discovers, he doesn't believe in ghosts.
Yeah, he's this is literally from the first scene of the movie,
right? Yeah,
and he is trying to convince her that there's a scientific approach to this. This isn't a ghost, and he just thinks it's walls creaking and stuff at first, like they all do.
Right, but it turns out that it's an anomaly. It's a gravitational anomaly. They go through this whole investigating it a little bit, and it leads him to this military compound where they find the remnants of NASA. And the remnants of NASA are being led by Michael Caine, who plays Professor Brand. This is his 6th Christopher Nolan movie. And
Nolan must like this guy.
Yeah. So he plays Professor Brand. Anne Hathaway plays Amelia, his daughter. Wes Bentley plays a guy named Doyle. He's one of the scientists there, and David Gayassi, I think his name is. He plays David Gayassi. He plays Romilly, another scientist there. And basically, what they explain to Cooper is that they found a wormhole out by Saturn, and a wormhole. If you know anything about science fiction movies or anything, that wormhole is basically, it's like a hole in space and time that allows you to travel over great distances in space by basically warping space and bending.
In theory.
In theory. But wormholes are not natural phenomenon. They are built.
Yeah, I mean, a wormhole, black hole, I believe the science of it is actually, it's created from an exploding star, like a very powerful.
A black hole's a collapsing star, but a wormhole. They were saying a wormhole.
Oh, you're right. They did really more call it a wormhole.
Yeah, it's a wormhole. So they said that is created. They don't know who put it there, but apparently they sent teams through the wormhole. I forget over how many years it had been, but they sent teams to a wormhole, and there were like 12 planets there that they want to investigate. And
they've been collecting data,
right,
for X number of years, trying to find a suitable replacement for Earth, basically.
Right. Yes, they're looking to find a replacement for Earth. So, Cooper is a former pilot. They need a pilot. This is one of the cases in the story where it's a little serendipitous.
This is the only. I mean, there are very nitpicky parts, but this is the part that really I just was like, come on now.
Yeah, it would have been better if he had known about it or something like that involved with it already.
Well, in theory, he did.
Right. Yeah. So, whatever. So he agrees to go on this voyage.
And by the way, like you mentioned, they started out there was like 12. They've now whittled it down to like 3 distinct possibilities planet-wise that there's no longer they've discounted some of them because they've stopped receiving data.
Right. So they're going to go check out 3 planets and rescue the people that are there, and then see if the planet is.
I mean that's more of an ancillary mission. Their
right.
goal is to just go explore these planets,
and then eventually they're going to take the people of Earth there, and Michael Caine says he needs to figure out this equation. And he said, once you get back, I'll have figured out the equation, then we can get the people of Earth to go. There's also a plan B where they have a population bomb, which is basically like they have, I think it was like, they're going to grow like the first 10 humans in like a test tube, and then they're going to repopulate this new planet.
They've got frozen eggs and stuff in there.
Right.
They're basically, we'll repopulate this planet based on artificial means.
Right. So Matthew McConaughey, Cooper, has to deal with his daughter. She doesn't want him to leave, but he ends up leaving
quickly.
Yeah, that's another thing that bothered me. It was his departure is quite quick, and his decision is quite quick, which I felt that needed like another scene or two to kind of talk him. I know
the movie is long, but they could have fixed that in like a minute.
Yeah, they could have thrown like an extra 5-minute scene, and I felt especially. He knew Michael Caine's character from the past. I felt it would have been better if the scene had been with him and Anne Hathaway to develop a little bit more connection between them, camaraderie between them, since they're going to be going into space together. Anyway, they go to space. They go through the wormhole. We also meet Tars, who is voiced by Bill Irwin, and he is, if you've seen the trailers briefly, you can see Tars. He's basically like a walking block. He's a robot. He's a robot, but he looks like the monolith from 2001, which I'm sure is it's a direct homage.
So this is not like a half and half cyborg or anything. He's purely a robot,
right.
But he's a robot that's
has a personality.
They now can program these robots with emotion and levels of different.
And Tars is awesome.
Yeah. Tars is the best.
So
Tars and Chase, they're actually
Case.
There are actually 2 of them.
Yeah. And Case is voiced by Josh Stewart. And when I looked up his stuff, he was one of Bane's main lieutenant in The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh.
So I was like, I remember that guy. They go into space. They go through the wormhole, and they go to the first planet. They're expecting to meet. Now, 2 of the planets that they're going to are around this, basically orbiting this black hole. Yeah. So when they go to the planets, time, at least one of the planets, the one planet, time accelerates on Earth. So
it slows down for them considerably
because of the gravitational pull.
Because of the pull towards this black hole. But on Earth, it's basically like
7
years.
7 years for every hour.
For every hour they spend on that planet is 7 years on Earth.
So of course Cooper is thinking of ways they can save time because he's intending to go back. Because that was the promise he made to Murph that he would be back. And he said, by the time I get back, we might be the same age.
Yeah.
And of course, Murph was not pleased to hear that. So, and
by the way, you may not have mentioned it, but when he left Murph, she was basically destroyed. She didn't talk to him when he left. So they left in a very odd space.
Yeah, they left it. It was a bad the way they left.
Yeah, so he's trying to figure out the least amount of time they can spend on this planet, so that he doesn't lose this time on Earth that he knows he's inevitably going to.
And for those of you who are wondering how they can do this and not get old themselves, they have these hibernation
cryo things on the ship. That allows them to, they slept through the journey.
Right. And the ship is basically, it's pretty cool. It's like, it almost reminded me of Obi-Wan Kenobi's hyperspace thing in Attack of the Clones. Like, he would take his fighter and then put it into the hyperspace circle, and then it would shoot off like that. It was kind of like that, except it's almost like it's almost like a mobile space station.
It is. It's almost like a space station. Yeah.
So it's very cool. It's a very cool ship. It's called the Endurance, and they have the cryopods in there basically. So they go to this first planet.
I did read one funny article that's really picking me apart. They're like, why are these cryopods so dirty?
Oh, that was Entertainment Weekly. Entertainment Weekly, they wrote that article.
Really picked it apart.
And I responded in a comment to that thing. I was like, the only point that you have in this whole thing that is actually a quote-unquote plot hole is that, I think it was in the beginning when the serendipitous discovery that he's a pilot in the episode.
And actually, though, if you want an answer to that, though, it's because it's not like this ship was just built, first of all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 60 years since NASA's really existed.
Right.
So they've probably pieced this together.
Right.
I mean, there are many reasons. So
right.
Anyway.
Those aren't plot holes. That was a case. That was a case of like people calling stuff plot holes just because they don't explain it explicitly.
Correct.
They do that in Inception too, and it makes me angry because it's just like, just watch the fucking movie and piece it together for yourself.
Use your brain.
Yeah. Oh my god. So anyway, they go to the first planet, and you've seen it in the trailers. The first planet is basically like a water planet, and
I wish I hadn't seen it.
They look, yeah.
It's a little that was unnecessary.
Yeah, but they look out to the horizon. They say, "Oh, they're trying to find the person, the doctor that's supposed to be there."
So Anne Hathaway goes out
with
TARS with TARS or Case. I don't know. One of the robots, and Wes, and they're trying to find the beacon of the original person that they sent there.
Right.
I don't remember who it was. Do you remember?
Miller, I think.
Miller. Okay. Yeah, and this is my favorite part in the movie. Unfortunately, also in the trailer.
Yeah.
Is she says maybe we'll find something over these mountains.
Yeah.
And then you cut to
McConaughey.
Cooper. Yeah, McConaughey in the ship. He's like, those aren't mountains. That's a wave, and it's just this 100-foot tall wave just slowly coming towards them. Yeah, it's an amazing spectacle on the screen.
Yeah, everything about this movie visually is stunning. It's fantastic. It's funny because you watch like Star Trek and stuff like that, and even Star Wars to a degree, and they have like these big ships, and like it looks like they're almost like dwarfing the planet to a degree. But they have this one shot where the Endurance is going towards the wormhole past Saturn. And they have Saturn, and it's like
blip.
It's like a pinhead.
You just see a light. You just see a little light.
Yeah, and you're just like, wow. It really demonstrates just how insignificant we are in the universe.
Yeah.
So they try and get the data from the thing.
So as waves come at them, obviously chaos ensues, and they lose a lot of time.
Yeah, it floods the engines, and then they get stuck there for 45 minutes to an hour. Which obviously is 7 years. They go back up to the ship finally. 23 years have passed.
23 years have passed, and they had left someone to man the ship.
Right.
Romilly. Yeah, Romilly. He's just an old man now. Who's frankly kind of creepy at this point.
Yeah.
But he spent literally 23 years in solitude.
Yeah.
And he's very soft spoken.
Yeah.
Which is great because he hasn't had anyone to talk to. So
right.
It made perfect sense, and he just kept picking at his hand a little bit.
Yeah, he was great. He was really, really good.
But yeah, he informs them that it's been 23 years, and
he thought they were never coming back.
Of course, McConaughey. Yeah, he was basically at this point thinking about, I think, suicide, probably.
Probably, but he was also studying the black hole.
Right, and of course. You think after 23 years, you're like, thanks for coming to check in or get us, asshole.
Yeah.
Like 23, after 10 or 15 years, you didn't think, maybe I should. But so he does a really good job. And, of course, at this point, Cooper is completely dejected.
Right.
23 years have passed.
Right.
For all he knows, I mean, at this point, Earth could be gone.
But they've been getting messages through the wormhole from home.
That's right, yeah.
He finds out.
Thing.
He
getting updates.
He finds out that his son has grown up into Casey Affleck, and his daughter has grown up into Jessica Chastain.
Not actually Casey.
And they're rich. And cut back to Earth, and Jessica Chastain as Murph now is working with Michael Caine at NASA.
And at first, though, Murph is not communicating with him. Like she's still not sending him messages, even as an adult.
Right.
He's basically learning everything through
Tom,
through Lithgow's character, and through Tom.
Yeah.
He's getting updates on how things are going.
And then you cut back to Murph because she does send him one message. Yeah. Cut back to Murph. She's working with Michael Caine. He's still trying to figure out his equation. And major spoiler right here.
I guess we kind of need to, if we're going to talk about the movie, you got to kind of mention.
Yeah, you kind of have to mention this. Plan A doesn't really exist.
He from the get-go, he always knew that Plan A was a bust. He knew that there was no answer to this equation. He knew that before the first mission even went. He knew that. And he just didn't let anyone know because he wanted to create that hope.
Right.
That he didn't want. He knew A, he wanted to keep hope alive. B, he knew how he couldn't get people up to go on these missions if they knew it was if it was more or less a suicide mission.
Right. So, but Murph feels,
and that's relayed, by the way, through Murph's message that she sends to her
Anne
dad.
Hathaway.
That's right. She sends it to Anne Hathaway
when Michael Caine.
Michael Caine is dying.
Right.
And on his deathbed, he tells
her the truth.
Murph the truth.
Meanwhile, in space, they have a dilemma. They need to go check out these other two planets.
They have 2 more planets.
They have 2 more planets to check out. And Anne Hathaway wants to go to the farther out planet to go see a Dr. Edmonds because apparently she's in love with this guy.
That I'm not going to call it a plot hole, but it wasn't easily deciphered for me how Cooper really figured that out.
It was kind of like in her body language, the way she talked about him, and she was like, she knew. But when
he's not a freaking psychologist, I don't believe he was that astute.
I know that, but see, that's the other thing though too, because when they paint him as a farmer, they don't paint him as a very, smart guy, but he's actually like a really really genius guy. Right. So it's like, it was in her body language, the way she kind of talked about him a little bit, and then he did ask the robot. He did ask Tars.
That's right. He did ask.
What's the deal with that?
What I'm saying is,
and he called Tars his bluff.
To get to the point where he has to ask the question, though, means he already kind of knows. But
right, of course.
So he asked what the relationship was, and Tars is basically like,
I don't know.
I can't give you that data.
So anyway, but what's happening is that Edmonds' planet has stopped transmitting.
Yeah.
There's
Miller's
another
planet.
Dr. Mann. There's another guy,
Mann.
Dr. Mann, who he is still transmitting,
and he's transmitting very positive data.
Right. So they go get Mr. Mann instead.
But there's a lot of tension on the ship as to which planet they go to, and finally,
Anne Hathaway reveals that they will have enough fuel to go to the other planet if they have to, but they can't go home.
They can't go home. So, at this point, McConaughey calls out, "Hey, I know you're in love with this guy, and that's clouding your judgment on why you want to go to this planet versus Man's planet."
Spoiler alert: they should have gone to the other guy's planet. They go down to Dr. Mann's planet, and they find.
I immediately regret this.
It's an ice planet, and it puts Hoth to shame.
Eat your heart out, Hoth.
Yeah, it puts Hoth to shame.
Fuck you, Hoth.
Because it has frozen clouds.
They immediately enter the atmosphere and clip their wings on the clouds that are frozen. Yeah. It's so awesome.
So they go down, and it was at this point, right before they awoke him, I was like, I knew who Dr. Mann is. Because I remember that they had cast someone, and that person had not shown up yet.
You're right. This is kind of a surprise.
Yeah.
A cast addition to the story here.
I heard that this person had a small role, but it's actually a pretty pivotal role.
Given how few actors there are in this movie, it's
Dr. Mann is played by, spoiler alert, Dr. Mann is played by Matt Damon.
Oh.
Matt Damon. And he tells them all about his planet and tells them all this great stuff. He also this is when Anne Hathaway gets the message from Murph about the father dying, and
that they're actually on this planet when that happens.
Right. And Dr. Mann says, "I knew this too."
Yeah. Yada. And that's when you find out that Caine knew all along. Grant knew all along that. Planet A was a bust because Mann confirmed that he knew about it before he even left.
Anne Hathaway didn't know.
Before he left, right.
Anne Hathaway didn't know, but... And, of course, Murph believes that her father knew, too, and he just abandoned them.
Right.
So...
Well, yeah, she already considered that he abandoned them.
Right.
And now that's just cemented in her head as an adult that, oh, my God, he knew. He left us for good.
They have all this data from Dr. Mann, and everything looks great. And basically, McConaughey says, "Okay, well, I'm going to give you all the crap so you can set up the planet here, and then I'm going home."
Right.
And they're like, "Okay, that's good."
and then he's like, well, let's go explore.
Yeah.
And man says, well, let me go show you, like, right here, I know where we are right now is not very suitable, but the further down you go into the valleys of this planet, we get an actual atmosphere, actual oxygen you can breathe. He gives some scientific explanation for that. He's like, let me go show you. Let's go explore this.
Right. So Anne Hathaway and Romilly are setting up camp and all this kind of stuff with the robots. And Dr. Mann takes Cooper on a little voyage and then proceeds to stab him in the fucking back.
Literally.
Literally. Basically, Dr. Mann is a fucking fraud.
And very callously. Like just cold. Just.
I'm sorry. I can't see you go through this. I'm sorry.
He's still emotional about it.
Oh, God, he's such a coward.
But yeah, he's so cowardly.
He is very much not Jason Bourne in this movie.
No.
So basically,
but he will be again in 2016.
That's right. That's other news that we didn't report. But anyway, he stabs Cooper in the back, and he says, I can't let you take this ship because I'm going to take it to the other planet. I'm going to save the human race, blah, 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 blah. So, and basically people have been talking about how this is a plot hole and stuff like that because why didn't he just tell them the truth? But the thing is that if there was nothing there, he wasn't supposed to be transmitting in the first place. They're wasting valuable resources to go get him. And they could have used that to go to the next planet.
I agree. I still don't think they would have killed him. But again, I think that can be rationalized just by he's fucking bonkers anyway.
Yeah.
So his thought process is not going to be it's going to be off anyway. So he leaves Cooper for dead.
Right.
He pushes him down this slope cliff kind of slope. And leaves him, and he destroyed his oxygen, his mask.
He cracked his mask. So he's breathing like ammonia, basically.
So he leaves him for dead, and starts heading back towards the ship to essentially probably do the same to the others, and at least maroon them there.
Yeah.
Cooper finds a way to start transmitting again. He gets his transponder, or whatever you want to call it,
right?
And lets them know that man has lost his shit. Right. And to get out of there, basically, they come to his rescue.
Right.
Not before, however, the space station, the original space station on the planet blows up. I can't really remember why that happened.
Wait,
what caused that
on the planet?
On the planet. Yeah.
Oh, that was a trap. He said that as a trap.
So that was his idea to kill them.
Yeah.
Okay.
He said that as a trap.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they would have been in there, but McConaughey called them, so they headed towards the ship to save him, and then it blows up. Is that the idea? That they would have been in there to die?
It was like a booby trap thing. Because TARS was trying to pull the information from the other computer, the other robot.
Oh, it was set within the robot.
Right.
That's right. Okay.
Right.
All right.
And then
because TARS would have known that the data was manipulated at that point.
Right. Yeah. And then Matt Damon tries to get off the planet. He tries to go to the Endurance, and then there's a disaster up there.
They've saved Cooper.
Right.
And now they're following Matt Damon back into space.
And there's try
to grab the ship.
There's a great bit of editing here. A lot of the editing was really good. The only bad editing part that I really picked up is when that one kid is coughing. He's like, the dust. And then he's not coughing anymore. Do you remember that?
At the end, like Affleck's kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He's like, the dust.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like there's two totally different scenes, and it's like they kind of like glued them together. It's terrible editing. Yeah. But other than that, it's great because like you've got Coop is flying the ship to go get Matt Damon, and he's trying to talk to him, saying, don't try and dock with the ship, don't try. And they would cut immediately back to Matt Damon, who has his communicator off, and then it's just silence, except for the music. And shout out to Hans Zimmer here, because the score is really, really good.
It's really good.
The sound mix was a little
overpowering in times in terms of volume.
Yeah,
but
that's the sound mix.
Still awesome.
Yeah,
right.
Still great score.
And you saw it a second time, and maybe you picked it up the first time. Why? How did they know that would cause an explosion? Him docking? Did they set that up?
No. Because what happened was they set it up like TARS basically sabotaged him, and he made it so the autopilot would not auto dock with it.
Correct.
So he had to do it manually.
Right.
And then when they said is he attached, they said imperfectly. So the seal was not perfect. So when he opened the hatch,
but even before that, they didn't, even before he was near that, they were telling him not to dock.
Oh, because they didn't want him to leave. He was going to leave with the ship.
So it was two distinctly issues.
Yeah.
First, they didn't want him to dock. They didn't want him to dock. Then they found out once he was docked imperfectly that it was going to blow up the ship. The atmosphere would blow it up because of the pressure.
And that's what happens. Yeah. And Christopher Nolan is... Let me tell you something about Christopher Nolan. He has this talent, I guess, or this shtick that he does with his movies. The first time I noticed it, I guess, was The Dark Knight. Is that everything looks like it's going to be okay, and then he just kills the characters like it's like an instant. Like there's no like long like I wish that I could have told you all this stuff. Like they just die.
The gag where you see someone die and then they come back to say something. Yeah. Nolan doesn't go for that.
Like it's always they're always in like the middle of a sentence or something, and like it happened with Maggie Gyllenhaal. It happens several times in this movie.
And by the way, good for him. That's
good for him. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah. So then there's like this. Coop shows that he's a great pilot and spectacularly gets them back on the ship because it's spinning out of control. And
which is pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah,
that's kind of implausible. It's fine for the movie.
The first time I saw it, I was
pretty damn implausible.
The first time
they're spinning at G's, like so many G's.
Right. The first time I saw, well, that's why he says, "Case, you got to take it over if I black out."
Right.
But the first time I saw it, I was like, I don't know about that. But the second time I saw it, I was like,
yeah, let's assume she won't black out too.
She did.
That's what I'm saying. So he's like, take over. It's like, dude, she's going too if you're gone.
Yeah.
But that being said, when I say it's a whole, like it's not movie implausible. I mean, it's not something to dwell on. It's just odd. But yeah, it's basically leading up to this because he's this great pilot to begin with.
Then they say, okay, they have a way to get to the other planet, but the way they have to do it, basically, McConaughey tricks Anne Hathaway to go by herself, and then he dumps himself and TARS into the black hole.
Right. So the original, he's telling her the original plans were all gone. We're just going to go to this planet. This will be the end of it. And at the last second, he shoots her off by herself and says, this is the way it has to be.
Right.
You're going to go save humanity, and I'm going to do my best to get home.
Yeah, and so they go into the black hole, not the wormhole. They go into the black hole,
right.
Gargantua.
It's called Gargantua.
And what their hope is that they said earlier in the movie that if something went over real fast, like a probe, it might be able to get through the G-forces and maybe learn about a black hole, so they can transmit the data back to Earth, so they can figure out how to get off.
And that's important. The distinction you mentioned that though, because this wasn't. He wasn't. When I say he was do his best to get back home, he knew that wasn't likely.
Right.
His goal in there was to go collect data that would hopefully get transmitted back to Earth, so that they could figure out how this black hole worked and that equation,
and they could get the people off of
could be solved.
Then,
no, because not the equation, because he knew.
Well, no. Because by that point it is. Right. They revealed that's the information they need.
They revealed that the reason that the equation could never be solved is because they could never get the data they needed.
Because it's in the black hole.
No one can see inside the black hole.
Right. So anyway, then the movie takes...
By the way, if you're confused now, that's okay. Just go see the movie.
Just go see the movie. Or, as Neil deGrasse Tyson said, read Kip Thorne, who was the science consultant on the movie. Go read his book, The Science of Interstellar. And then the movie in the third act takes a complete left turn. And it becomes very much a lot like 2001. The end of 2001.
So up until now, this is just your standard run-of-the-mill type of sci-fi space movie.
Right.
That's all it is at this point.
Now, he is like he goes to the black hole. I'm sorry, the black hole.
Mm-hmm.
He passes through. There's a little homage to Contact in there.
Yeah.
As he has to eject out of his ship and watch the ship break apart.
The ship's about to break apart, so he ejects himself.
And
I'm not really sure why he would think that's a good idea, but it's his only option at this point.
So he's floating in this space, and he ends up in what they call a tesseract, not from Avengers, but he ends up in a tesseract.
Not a small cube.
He ends up in a tesseract, which they said is basically like the fifth dimension. And they think that these alien beings...
When you say they say, he's just... there's no one talking to him. He's finally
interpreting... Well, TARS does at one point.
But I mean, they, quote-unquote, they or not. He's interpreting what's going on.
Right, he's interpreting what's going on.
Yeah.
And basically, he finds that he is in this weird space that goes on for like infinity, but he is living behind the bookcase in his daughter's room. and he can span time. He can span time.
Different dimensions of the bookcase, different time periods in her life in that room.
So it turns out that the ghost that was trying to communicate with her is Matthew McConaughey. It's him. Don't ask me how it all fits together, but because I'm still trying to figure that out. Right.
So he's the one sending her messages.
He's the one sending her messages, but she uses that.
To him, it's instantaneous.
Right. To him, it's instantaneous
because he can jump from one bookcase to another, which could be at a different time on Earth.
Right. Cut back to Earth. Murph is at the house because she's trying to. She thinks that the answer is in that room with the gravitational,
which is kind of a
stuff.
Leap. Which was
it is kind of a leap,
that's kind of a leap in the story. So she's an adult. But she realizes she's got to solve this equation.
At the same time, though, that's what got them into it in the first place. So I can kind of see why she want to go back there.
Agreed.
For me, the leap is when she figures out who's sending the message. That's the leap for me.
You're right. Given that, I know she was just a kid, but given that they actually got discernible data that sent them to that NASA center from the beginning.
Right.
From that point on, that's when they start referring to this they.
Yeah.
They don't know who it is that's sending them data, but they know it's more than just some gravitational pull. They knew they were getting messages.
Right. Basically what happens is Cooper is able to transmit the data that TARS pulls from the black hole, and then he ends up floating in space as the Tesseract collapses. Yeah. And then they bring him, and then he's in his hospital room.
Yeah. And
then he looks out the window, and he's like on this fucking space station that looks like, if you ever played Mass Effect, it looks like I forget what the place is called, Mass Effect, but it's the main space station place.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looks like. It's got like an artificial sun and everything. It's really fucking cool. And he basically meets Murph as an old woman
on her deathbed.
On her deathbed, played by Ellen Burstyn, and then she tells him, "You need to go find Brand. You need to go find Amelia Brand."
Part of me is like, okay, I get it, but another part of me is like, really, all this effort to get back home, and you're with her for literally 60 seconds, and then you walk away.
Yeah, that was kind of
It's like cause her the idea. What she says in the movie is, no parent should have to see their child die.
Right.
I've got my family here. Her generations of family that have actually grown up. You go do what you have to do. You know there's something else you have to do.
Yeah.
I'd be like, thanks, Mom, or thanks, hun. Might as well have been Mom at that point. He was like, thanks, honey, but why don't I just hold your hand for the next 5 minutes?
Yeah, right.
You know?
No, yeah, that's true. I mean, but at the same time,
nitpicking.
Yeah, it's nitpicking. But I can see. But then again, because she figured out the puzzle. She could also think he was always with.
He was always, but he couldn't.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, but for him, it's only been a couple years.
Right. Exactly.
It hasn't been just 23 years.
Right. No, it's more than that. I mean, because when they were skirting the black hole, another 50 years went by after that.
It's almost like 70 years at this point.
Right.
But for him, it's only been a couple years. So,
right.
I mean, it's been a long time, but it hasn't been crazy.
Right.
Like honestly, for him, that'd be fucking weird to see you last saw your daughter
when she was 10.
In physical form is 10, and now she's like 85 and dying. It's like, all right, that's a little creepy.
So it was very much like Aliens, when she comes back to Earth, and then they're like, oh yeah, everybody you knew was dead.
Everyone's dead.
So,
yeah.
It's similar to that.
Yeah. So anyway, she tells Cooper, hey, you know there's someone out there that you need to basically save.
Right.
And she's referring to
Brand.
Hathaway's character, who was purposefully marooned on the planet to set up a colony.
And they cut back to Hathaway, and it looks like that planet.
It looks like it's thriving. She's created a camp, and she's doing what she needs to do. And then you see Cooper flying off. He takes a spaceship to fly off and go get her. How the heck he's supposed to ever find her, I don't know. But
no, because he knows where the planet is.
Well,
because the space station. You
got to go through freaking. I mean,
no, because the space station is set up right there at the wormhole.
That's right.
He'll go through the wormhole, and then he knows exactly where to go.
I assume he knew where the space station was set up. I guess. Plus, there'd be coordinates. Like this would all be mapped out at this point.
Oh yeah.
So he went to go get her,
because he knows what planet she's
right, and that's it. That's the movie.
And that's the movie.
Now, my theory is that they refer to this they that created called the Tesseract.
Right.
And Cooper theorizes as he's inside that Tesseract that because Targs keeps referring to it as they. He says Targs, this isn't they. This is us. We did this. Like we as in the evolution of humanity.
Right.
We've evolved to the point where we've figured out this fifth dimension and we can displace space and time to figure this out. And my theory is that Brant's colony on that planet was what allowed that to be possible. If you assume that Cooper's theory is correct, then Brant creating that colony allowed humanity to continue, which allowed it to evolve to this point to make that possible.
But see, I don't know how that works because
I don't know.
Because if he's the one, if he doesn't send, I don't know. I just don't know how that works.
It's a lot to think about. But I just don't know how that works. That's my theory. I mean, first of all, why would any they give two shits about people? Yeah. So you have to assume that someone that has a true interest in humanity.
Because the thing is too is that if he is the one who basically sent himself to NASA,
right?
I just don't know how that.
Yeah, that's where the paradox starts breaking down. For me,
yeah,
is for him to send himself to NASA assumes that it completed the first time around,
right?
For him to get there in the first place,
right?
So that's where the loop kind of breaks down a little bit. Yeah.
Unless there was another, I don't know. See,
but and again, this is probably where that book comes in handy because we can't grasp this fifth dimension and how it works, right?
Well, the other thing is too is that it's possible that all his meddling and stuff like that was really only to help the people on Earth. So it's possible that you're right, and it's all happened before, but Brand's colony thrived, and then it built the wormhole.
It built the wormhole that allowed humanity to go.
To let them save the people on Earth,
then they can go save the actual physical people
on Earth. That's possible. Yeah, I mean that's possible.
So almost two almost two strands of humanity.
Because you could argue that maybe Michael Caine found him or something like that in another time, another time stream. He found him and said, "Hey, we need you to come and do this." Blah 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 blah. Instead of them finding them.
I mean, you can pick apart so much about it if you want to.
Right.
I mean, how did he end up on Cooper Station, when he was in this room?
Oh, they found him.
No, I know, but the wormhole collapsed on him.
No. The Tesseract collapsed, and then I guess it spit him back through the wormhole, or he went through the black hole, which ended up there too. And then when he's floating right by Saturn, and then you can see the two ships coming. They see him floating, and they're coming, and they pick him up, him and Tars up. That's how he ended up there.
Okay.
It collapsed and then spit him back out the wormhole, basically.
I think I missed that.
Yeah.
First go around.
Yeah.
It's fun to think about.
Yeah.
It's fun to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful vision to watch.
Yeah. It's a fantastic movie. I mean, it's like I said, it has its problems story wise, but it's a must see. You have to go see Interstellar. After we talked about this for almost a fucking hour, you have to go see Interstellar.
It takes this. I mean, you could.
I mean, yeah, the movie's 3 hours
talk
long.
About for another hour if we wanted.
It's a bladder buster.
Yeah.
It's his longest movie to date. I almost felt like this could have been like an HBO miniseries of like 4-hour-long episodes.
It absolutely could have been, and but it still works as his feature.
It does,
film.
But I think he's almost getting to the point where he's almost reaching the constraints of a single film, and I don't know, he may need to. I don't know what he's going to do next. I'm really interested to see what he does next, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, eventually he'll let us down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's inevitable.
You could argue that he already did with The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I got to say,
but even that's not a shit bomb.
Oh no, it's not. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there's several things about The Dark Knight Rises that I loved. It's just that there are, just like in this one, there are certain things that story wise just don't fit together correctly.
But this guy has been putting out hits ever since Call Him a Hit. When I use the word hit, I mean actual great movies. They may not have been all commercial hits, but I mean, ever since his first one, Memento, back in what was that, 2000, 99, 2000?
Might have been 99.
Yeah. That movie was phenomenal. Became one of my favorite movies. Again, that was the collaborative effort between him and his brother.
Yeah. Jonathan Nolan, who wrote the screenplay for this one. Co-wrote the screenplay.
They just worked together so well.
Yeah. I mean, you might have needed maybe one more person on there just to give it a polish on the dialogue. Some of the dialogue is a little clunky in this.
Yeah,
but that's the biggest. That's the biggest.
That's because a lot of the dialogue is
it's all science stuff.
Heavy.
Yeah, and it has to be.
Because it has to be. Yeah,
it has to be. You have to describe it, and it worked.
But I feel for the depth that they're the science depth that they're talking about, it's kind of minimalistic.
Yeah.
In that effort, even though it had to be heavy on it. It's just it really is a good movie.
Yeah.
No matter which side of the coin you fall on, whether you really really like it or whether it just makes you think.
Right.
It's one to go see.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Definitely go see Interstellar. After all that, go see Interstellar.
I think we said that up front too.
Yeah.
If you could take a wormhole to get to the end of this this review, maybe you would. I don't know.
Real quick, because we don't want to babble on forever. Big Hero 6 is Disney's new film. It's technically based on a Marvel comic book, but they really have not sold that at all because it is a lot different. I read from the actual original book.
The generalities are all the same. The characters, and
right?
It's general storyline, I guess.
Yeah, it's set.
That's more of a question. Sorry.
Oh, I don't know. I never.
Okay,
read it.
I don't know.
It's set in the future, and San Francisco is now San Francisco.
Tokyo.
Yeah. So
it's a mesh between San Francisco and Tokyo.
Right.
And I actually liked it.
It was
really cool looking.
Yeah, it was cool.
I would like to live there.
The Big Hero 6 is very cool. It's a cute movie. It's great for kids. I just didn't really love it that much.
Well, this isn't a diss on the movie by any means, but I think my problem with it, I think you'll agree with me here, is it was solely for kids.
Yeah.
There's no in a lot of especially older Pixar movies, there's a lot of nods for adults,
right?
A little bit of adult humor in there. This has none of that. This is purely for kids, and as that, it succeeds on most levels.
Yeah.
But if you go in there as an adult, like you and I did, it's just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was cute. Yeah. I mean, the star of the movie is the robot Baymax, who is like this big marshmallow-looking robot guy. He's the star of the movie.
And if we didn't know that, we knew that based on the 5-year-old's comments every time it was on screen.
Yes, exactly.
Behind us. Yeah. Hey, look, it's Baymax! It's Baymax!
He is voiced by Scott Adsit from 30 Rock, who is Hornberger from 30 Rock. And he's great. He's a great character. I loved Baymax. Hero is the main character. Yeah, Hero is the main character. He's good. He's driven by his brother was killed, and so he's driven by that. That was also a very dark beginning. That's in keeping.
He's a budding genius himself.
Right. Yeah. And then his teammates.
It's dark, but it's done in a way to not.
It's very sanitized.
For kids.
It's very sanitized.
That's a good word for it. It's sanitized.
And then his teammates are all pretty one note, and that's the other problem with this movie. The thing is with Disney is that they already have the greatest animated superhero movie in their library. It's called The Incredibles, and they need to start. I mean, I know Brad Bird is finishing up Tomorrowland,
which looks cool.
Yeah, which looks cool as shit. His next movie, and I know they're talking about doing it, needs to be Incredibles 2. He needs to come in and say, "This is how you really do it."
Let me show you.
Let me show you how it's really done.
Let me show you something.
And he can say that to Fantastic Four too, because The Incredibles is essentially Fantastic Four. But Big Hero 6, like I said, it's cute. It's good. It's good for kids. A lot of stuff is telegraphed in it. It's not for a bunch of characters who are a bunch of super geniuses. They're not very smart in certain instances.
And I think Disney.
Perceptive, I should say. They're not very perceptive.
I think Disney, as far as the way the movie's made, they're aware that the cash cow of this movie is going to be Baymax.
Oh,
That's why they don't focus on these other characters.
Yeah.
But the problem is, they don't just make them team characters. They're almost just plain ancillary.
Right, yeah.
Almost, they just don't even matter at all.
Right.
T.J. Miller's character, Fred, is the only other one that's
has any
noteworthy.
Any kind of like interesting depth to him. But even that's pretty shallow at best.
Yeah.
But
it's a fine, safe movie.
Yeah.
Take your kids to see it. Kids will love it. 100%.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah.
I was just a little let down because I assumed something that it wasn't.
Yeah, we were expecting it to be a bit more. And the villain is kind of
blah.
He's kind of blah, too, yeah.
But again, that's a safe villain.
Yeah, he's really
that's
safe.
The idea.
He's
not there to destroy humanity. That's not his.
Yeah, he's not.
goal.
He's not as cool as Syndrome.
Yeah,
from,
he's not sinister.
Incredibles. Yeah. So that's Big Hero 6. Take your kids to go see it. Like we said, we also saw Dumb and Dumber 2 on a free screening.
Take your kids to go see that.
Yeah, no,
don't do that.
No, do not take your kids to see that.
Take yourself to see it, though.
It was pretty funny.
I wanted to see it.
Right.
But I wasn't sold that it would be a good movie.
Right.
I love Dumb and Dumber. I know you don't care for it all that much.
I didn't hate it, but it's
right.
I don't.
I mean, I grew up on Dumb and Dumber, quoting that more than anything as a teenager. I love Dumb and Dumber. I mean, because I'm dumb. That's why. I'm an idiot.
He is.
Yeah, it's true.
You are.
But like, so I was really looking forward to this, no matter whether it was going to be good or bad. But I thought it hit what the notes it needed to hit. It's not a blockbuster. It's not a masterpiece.
No.
But I didn't feel uncomfortable seeing them on screen reprising these roles 20 years later.
No, they were good. They fit right back into it.
They
really
right
did.
back into it. It didn't feel forced.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it worked, and they worked together again, and that's what matters.
Yeah,
because when Dumb and Dumber is about the chemistry between these two characters,
right? Yeah,
and 20 years later, if you don't believe that they can exist in their same world again, then the movie's going to suck. But it didn't, and it drug a little bit. I think it drug a little bit once they got to this expo they were going to. I thought it drug a little bit for about 20 minutes there.
Yeah,
but it was a good movie. The story, not that the story matters for anyone who's going to see Dumb and Dumber 2.
No.
But the story is, if you've seen the trailer, Lloyd plays a 20-year gag on Harry where he pretends to be catatonic at a hospital. And then finally,
Lloyd is Jim Carrey, Harry is Jeff Daniels.
Yeah, Harry is Jeff Daniels. And 20 years later, he finally reveals the gag and this got ya, and reveals that he's been faking it for 20 years. They then realize that Harry has a
kidney problem.
He has a well. That's later. They actually
no. He says he's got a kidney problem, and then he finds out.
I think he mentions the daughter first, doesn't he?
No, it's the kidney problem first, because that's why they find that's why the daughter's important, because they need her to get the kid.
So he informs Lloyd that he has a kidney failing and he needs a kidney transplant. He then finds out through some really old mail that he got, that he didn't read for 20 years, that he has a child. So they go on search for Harry's long lost child in hopes that she will give him one of her kidneys so that he can have this transplant.
And she's played by the hot Rachel Melvin.
And as you've come to find out, she is as ditzy as they are. And so that they go on this cross-country trip again to find her, and hijinks ensue. Right. And then you have the main plot driver is that her dad is like this big time genius scientist, recluse scientist, who supposedly on his deathbed, he's not dying yet, but he's getting old.
He's sick. Yeah.
He's sick. He's got this supposed super big science. What do you call it? Bit of like knowledge,
of science, miracle science,
miracle something that he wants to give to the world, but it's really worth billions.
Right.
Everyone assumes it's worth billions.
And his wife
played
by Laurie Holden, who was Andrea on Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't piece that together. Yeah. Right. So, she is a gold digger. She's married him for the money. She realizes that once he's kicked the bucket, she can have billions if she just gets this thing before it's given to the public for free. Mm-hmm. So the dad sends Harry and Lloyd with this package to give to the daughter who left it behind when she's heading towards the science expo.
Right.
The wife tries to head them off at the pass to steal it first,
and she sends Rob Riggle.
And Rob Riggle is her boyfriend lover. who she sends to kind of keep an eye on them and steal the package at the last second. So that's the story. Who the fuck cares what the story is? This is Harry and Lloyd just in their hijinks, right?
That's the thing about the story is that this movie, not just because Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels are in it again as these characters, the movie itself was almost like a throwback movie to like these 90s comedies that were just like awful plots.
Every bit of it was that.
And it was just like, it didn't feel like a modern day comedy at all.
But that's what made it work.
Yeah. I thought, I laughed a lot in it. Rob Riggle is fucking hilarious. I love Rob Riggle.
He's great.
And I thought Laurie Holden was miscast here. I think they should have gotten somebody with more comedy chops to play the wife.
Yeah, her time was.
Yeah, she felt like the odd man out. And I also felt that
could have gotten like an Amy Poehler type or something like that.
Yeah, maybe Amy Poehler would have worked better. Or Tina Fey.
Yeah.
I also felt, you know who would have been good? Maya Rudolph. She would have been good.
Yeah, she would have been.
I also felt that there's a couple twists towards the end. I thought you only needed the one twist. The further twist after that, I was like, that doesn't. Because then that it kind of like blew up everything that they had set up going, in the movie. So I was just
but this is it's in pure Dumb and Dumber fashion, where it's just like like just ridiculous twist, right? I mean, but you have Billy from 4C growing up in this movie.
Oh my god, that was the best.
So good.
Bird.
Yeah, pretty bird. And at this point in the movie, he's got like hundreds of rare exotic birds in his apartment. That obviously has comedic effects later in the movie. And they have throwbacks to all kinds of characters. If you do go see this movie, stay through the credits.
Yeah. Because
they do have a comedic gold throwback character that shows up at a cutscene at the very end.
Yeah.
But, I mean, all in all, the movie worked. I mean, it was funny. Is it as good as the first one? Well, no. And do they reuse the same types of gags? Absolutely. But if you like Dumb and Dumber, I think you'll like this one.
Yeah, in that it's kind of like Anchorman, where Anchorman 2 was like, if you liked Anchorman 1, you're gonna like Anchorman 2.
Yeah, but
there's no way it's better than the original.
But the difference is this is literally 20 years later.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're not sure if this will actually work again. Anchorman 2, we all knew would be funny.
Yeah.
This one, it was kind of like, can they really pull this off? They can. Credit Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey, because they slid right back into these roles. And did a really good job. I know I've said it before, but people don't give enough credit to comedy and comedians and being able to pull off slapstick comedy. It's really difficult. It's like you mentioned, Holden filling out of place. That's because these guys are so good at it.
Yeah.
And their timing is so good.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do this. Comedy's a really hard thing to pull off. Especially in a feature-length film format, not just some kind of sketch comedy. And these guys do it better than anybody, I think. I mean, these guys have true range as actors, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Because they've proven they can do the dumbest of comedies and reach also to the deepest of dramas. So, if you like Dumb and Dumber, check this out. Obviously, if you don't, there's no chance you're going to like this movie. So, anyway.
Yeah,
obviously,
and that
the big
comes
one
out,
this week is Interstellar. That just trumps everything.
Yeah, Interstellar. Definitely go see Interstellar. If you've got kids, go see Big Hero 6.
If you're a big kid,
go see Dumb and Dumber 2. That opens on the 14th.
Yeah, 14th. We will be seeing another movie on the 14th.
Yes, we'll be seeing Whiplash with Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons.
Oh,
I've been waiting for that one.
It looks like I was telling my friend today, this movie looks intense, and he said, question mark. He typed it out. He said, question mark. He says, the movie about a drummer looks intense. I was like, check out the trailer, man. Check out the trailer.
We're going to see that. I'll probably go see Interstellar again at some point. And then also this week we're taking in an early screening of Horrible Bosses 2.
Expected to be kind of horrible.
I'm expecting it to be horrible. The first one, I liked it. I laughed a lot at the first one,
it
but
was funny.
It was so much of it was just so much garbage, though. It was just like the only boss who warranted being murdered was Kevin Spacey. The other bosses didn't feel like they warranted what was going on in that movie. So, but this one is a little bit different. I laughed a couple times at the trailer, but hey, if we go see it for free, who fucking cares?
Exactly. But it
and next week,
as long as it's on par with the first one, it's fine. It'll serve its purpose.
And next week, depending on when we're going to be able to record again, next week we are, one way or another, we'll be seeing the new Hunger Games movie. There's a screening taking place for some God only knows why.
I can't figure that out why they do a screening.
And then we already have our
which
tickets.
I'm not excited about at all.
No, I'm really not either.
I mean, I'm not expecting it to be a bad movie, but I have no desire for this movie really. I don't care one way or the other.
Yeah, it's like, to me, it's kind of like The Hobbit. It's like, we're gonna go see it.
First one was really good. Second one was just literally more of the same thing, and I'm just kind of a little over it, I guess. Just not my cup of tea. But that's not to say it's going to be a bad movie.
Because you've already seen Jennifer Lawrence naked, so what's the point?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So that'll do it for this episode. Go check out Interstellar, and if you want to see any more Christopher Nolan stuff, watch them all. They're good.
Yeah.
Inception. Go see Inception and The Dark Knight. Because you can pretty much watch The Dark Knight without having to see the other ones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a standalone film. My pick would be Memento.
Yeah.
His first one.
Yeah.
Sets him up as what you know is going to be a great director.
Yeah. And also
their team, a great writing directing team.
Yeah. And also The Prestige too, for that matter.
Oh
too.
yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's a really good one.
Prestige.
I mean, we could name they're all great. Go see them.
Go see them. Go see them now. And
thanks everybody.
Yep, we'll see you next time.